Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. My guest is one of this generation's most sought-after actors who is known to millions of TV fans around the world for playing Theon Greyjoy on HBO's Game of Thrones, and now he is making his electrifying Broadway debut as Mooney in Martin McDonagh's Hangmen. Please say hello to Alfie Allen.
Hello. Thank you so much, Richard. That's very, very kind of you.
Well, listen, first of all, thank you for sitting with me in between a matinee and an evening performance of Hangmen.
Yeah, I'm in my dressing room right now. John Horton is my dressing room buddy, but he's not here at the moment. But yeah, it's been going brilliantly. We're now, I think we're 2 weeks in. 2 weeks on. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks from opening night, and it's all going great. I'm just enjoying every second of it. It's brilliant.
Well, first of all, welcome to Broadway. How does it feel?
It feels great. At first, it felt slightly surreal, but it's great. You know, my whole career, Broadway has been something that I've been wanting to do. I did 2 runs in the West End, and then yeah, when you do that, kind of next step, or in my head anyway, the next step from doing theatre in West End was doing theatre in Broadway, and I've been given the opportunity very, very kindly by Matthew Dunster and Martin McDonagh. And it's just been going fantastically. Everyone has just been so supportive, and I get that feeling. That's what the community is like over here in terms of the theatre community. It's very cohesive and everyone's very supportive. So it's just been a pleasure just sort of meeting new people and also enjoying the work. It's fantastic.
This is also your Broadway debut. I mean, what do you remember about opening night? Like when you took your bow on that whole day?
Not much. I've got to be honest. I was, yeah, it's, you know, afterwards we all went to a little bar and there was no closing, like after party or anything because of COVID. About 4 or 5 of us went to this little bar afterwards, and and then all the reviews started coming out. And so people around me just started sort of getting a bit of a buzz. I didn't read any of them until I got home. And so, yeah, I just, it was fantastic. I think I said to you before that I was extremely happy with all the shows leading up to opening night and the opening night shows. So it was really great, really, to see everybody else in the company so happy as well, because this show was stopped by COVID in a couple of years ago, just before COVID, well, as it was happening. And so to see the relief and the joy on the cast members who were part of that production really get to opening night and complete it was really great. You know, I wish I could have been a part of that feeling, but I wasn't. Because I wasn't in the original, or I wasn't in the production that was in that was going to be shown here. So it's all just been going great.
But I'm sure it was like starting all over again. Everybody who I've spoken to who had a show and then COVID hit, like when they went back into rehearsals again, they were all like, it was like starting from scratch again with their company, with new members and everything else. And I mean, when you first got this script, like when you read this, Alfie, what made you say, yeah, I have to do this?
Well, I'd seen the show performed at the Wyndhams a long time ago, about 6 or 7 years ago, and I loved it. And I remember putting my name, or at least just sort of mentioning it to the people that kind of look after me professionally. That I told them that I would like my name to be put in a hat if the opportunity ever became available, and then, you know, it did, and yeah, I just remember learning the lines before we did, and just you know, the character is I'm always afraid to say sort of descriptive things about this character, because like, you kind of have to just leave it up to the individual to decide how they feel about him, but it's I just found the word so empowering. I don't know what that says about me, but I did, and I just remember really enjoying just learning the lines on my own, and then getting into the rehearsal room and having to allow that process to build and develop, you know, to what I had in my head, to letting it sort of evolve and take shape in the room. So the rehearsal process was a little bit daunting at first, but then like I said before, everybody was just so supportive, and it's just been a joy. And yeah, it's, I guess, yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Martin's work, and the way he just kind of leaves, you know, issues in his play, kind of, he leaves them, you know, he leaves them just up to the viewer to decide how they feel about what things, or what things the certain do or don't do. So yeah, Martin was obviously a big pull, and then me and Matthew Dunster had spoken about other projects before. One of them being Martin's project, which didn't happen because of COVID. And so yeah, it was Matthew and Martin who are a massive pull for me, and then obviously Martin's words are just, he's a genius. So yeah, it's a dream come true. I'm still pinching myself, really.
Yeah, let's talk about your director, Matthew Dunster. He's one of the most sought after directors. Like, what's it like being in the room with him?
It's great. He's just the exact type of person that you want at the head of a company like this. You know, it's he's just level-headed and just extremely extremely approachable, and up for a laugh as well. You know, I mean, it doesn't have to be all kind of serious with him, and he's so open to ideas and so generous with his ideas, and just I would jump at the chance to work with Matthew again. He's just a great person and a brilliant director, and I've got a lot of love for that man.
And then there's this incredible company of actors that you get to share this journey on. Like, what's it like sharing with all and being with them on stage 8 times a week?
Well, watching David Threlfall in the rehearsal rooms was a joy. You wouldn't have known that he'd only just stepped into the company. He was just a fantastic, slightly intimidating to watch because he was so good. And yeah, I mean, you know, Gabby French, Tracy Bennett, Andy Nyman, who is an absolute legend and is just smashes it in this play. Everyone does, you know. It really is all round a so well balanced cast and so well cast. And John Horton, who plays Arthur, is brilliant, and John Hodgkinson, who plays Pierpoint, is fantastic. A real vital part of the play. And yeah, it's been great. You know, I really gelled with Andy Nyman a lot. Me and him really get along. We've got some great scenes together. One particular scene together, which is really fun. Him, and yeah, like I said, David Threlfall is just a legend and an absolute lovely man. To see him play the part the way that he does, yeah, he's just a lovely man.
Because I was going to ask you, it's such a physical world you live in with this show also. And, you know, we're talking between a matinee and an evening right now, you and I. How challenging is it vocally for you, I mean, and physically to handle this role like on a 2-show day, like Wednesday or Saturday?
Yeah, it's yeah, definitely the physicality of it is quite how should I put this? It's evident with my part in the play, without a doubt. And yeah, the sort of voice training. I've got a lot of dialogue in this in Hangmen, so it's really just sort of keeping on top of that. And I've got this thing called the Dr. Vox, which Andy Nyman actually introduced me to, which is great. It looks like a kind of glass bowl, and then it has a little thing coming out the top, and then you just inhale steam through it. Yeah, so I do that quite a bit. I eat a lot of pineapples to keep my throat clear, because the acidity kind of breaks stuff down there. And just try and live a kind of generally healthy routine life. You know, dinners are a no-no for me at the moment because I'm on stage every night. So as soon as I get off stage, I just want to go home. And it's cool that I get Sundays off, because I got to go and see American Buffalo, which was great. And I got to see that in as we were doing our previews, and thoroughly enjoyed it. So at the moment, I haven't had the energy to go to another show, but it's knackering, it's exhausting, but at the same time, like it really is just changing all the time, and that's because of the audiences. COVID as well. COVID is sadly sort of playing a part in everyone's lives, but on Broadway, it's a part of life, everyday life now. So we it can be physically challenging, and but not weirdly not emotionally draining yet. It's just great, and like I said, I have pages of dialogue in this, and so I just feel myself enjoying it more and more, which is it's just great. It's really nice. Being on stage can get a little bit repetitive sometimes, but it's just not feeling to me that way. I mean, we're only 2 weeks into it, but I'm pretty sure that these words will still feel as empowering to me as when I was doing them when I was doing them back in London, learning them, because I just thoroughly enjoy it. It's such fun.
Yeah. When I saw you in this, I said, you remind me of a young Malcolm McDowell. I just literally watched. I know you're Alfie Allen, but I'm like, wow. I'm like, you totally blew my mind watching you do this.
I'll take that very happily. Thank you.
I mean, because you walk that line, but not giving anything away. Everybody go see Hangmen if you want to see some of the finest performances. And this man is giving an electrifying Broadway debut. You are frightening and scary and lovable all at the same time, like walking that tightrope. It's so great to watch you work, my friend.
Thank you so much, Richard. Yeah, I love that film, Clockwork Orange. That's one of my all favorites. My godfather actually painted my room orange when I was a kid because he said I reminded him of Malcolm McDowell.
Well, listen, we're thinking the same thing. Going back to growing up, I mean, you grew up in an entertainment family. Like, where did your love for the theater and performing begin? Because you started at a very early age, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it was always, my mum and my dad used to do a thing together called the comic strip, which was all kind of sketch show comedy, and really massive sort of cult following in the UK and kind of all over the world. But it was huge in the 80s. And yeah, whenever they would need a baby or my sister as a toddler, and they didn't want to pay one, they would just use us. So we were always on set from a young age. And then being on stage, we used to do this thing called the Tabernacle pantomime. It was, so those really were my earliest memories of being on stage, being on an actual stage in front of an audience. So we do that every Christmas, and it was a community theatre thing. So all the money, or I think all of it, or most of it, hopefully, would go to keeping the stalls on Portobello Road open. And I remember, so we did it when I was very, very young. And then it shut down. So I must have done it from when I was about 5 till about 9 or 10. Then it shut down. And then I did it again from about 16 till about 19, 20, I think. I actually ended up directing one of them, which was great. And what was it? I can't remember. I think it was The Wizard of Oz, but we called it the Long Yellow Brick Road or something. I can't remember, but it was. But those are my earliest memories of being on stage, without a doubt, and that was heavily influenced by my father and my uncle, who would they were start of that, the start of that. The setting up that community theatre for the Portobello Road stalls, but so it was. We were always just on stage and around sort of film sets when I was a kid, and also when my sister was around.
Yeah, because one of the first professional films that you and your sister, if people don't know, it's Lily Allen. I mean, just wonderful. I mean, you did Elizabeth together, didn't you?
Did, yeah.
I mean, what a cast in that film too. I'm like, there you are playing a youngster in that. I mean, being on that film set, was it a lot of fun for you?
It was great, yeah. I remember one time, I got to meet Eric Cantona, because he was in it, and that was a memory I'll never forget. I got to share the screen with Jeffrey Rush, who's a legend, and I knew more about Eric Cantona at that point than I did about Jeffrey Rush, admittedly, but he was lovely, and you know, I think Natalie Portman. Oh no, hold on, no, that's a different film. I remember Kate Blanchett being on set, and Craig, I think, was on set before he was James Bond.
Craig, that's right, big cast in that. I was like, wow, what a way to start out on a big film like that.
Yeah, it was great. And Shekhar Kapoor, the director, who is a legend and a lovely man who I'm still in contact with.
Yeah, well, like I said, you've done a lot of film, but you've also done a lot of theater. You replaced Daniel Radcliffe in Equus. I had a lot of friends see you over there in England, and said they adored you. They loved you as Alan Strang. What was it like taking on the role of Alan Strang and doing that wonderful production of Equus?
It was amazing. I did a UK tour, so it was my first kind of experience of finding my own digs, of not finding my own digs sometimes, and just sleeping on people's sofas. And it was great. It was brilliant. I just got fond memories of being in places like Edinburgh, Glasgow, not so much Eastbourne, no disrespect to Eastbourne, but yeah, it was just great. I loved it. And also, I got to do it with Simon Callow, who's just a lovely man. And he was just so kind to me. He took me out to dinner when we were in Edinburgh once and was just saying lovely things to me, and to hear that from him, at that point in my career, I was really just trying to sort of make my name, and he was totally supportive, and I could see that he approved, which was good, and still in contact with Simon, which is great. For me, I learned a hell of a lot while doing that, to be doing an actual show, which is Peter Shaffer's actual show, was incredible. And he was so lovely, Peter. He was so sharp and incredibly supportive, and just sort of sharing drinks with him and Simon in the dressing room afterwards at Chichester Festival Hall. I think it's Chichester or Winchester. I think it was Chichester. Was brilliant. I'll never forget it.
That's crazy to have Peter and Simon Callow. Simon Callow not only being one of the finest actor directors, but acting teachers. And I mean, he's playing your, Dr. Dysart opposite you. And then, like I said, having Peter there too. Wow. Pretty special stuff.
Gave me that book, Being an Actor, to read when I was back then. And it was great. It was great.
Well, like I had a lot of friends who saw you on that tour, and they said you were phenomenal as Alan Strang. And that's a tough role to take on. That's a heady play.
Yeah, it was. It was, it was beautiful at the same time. I was on stage for the whole thing. I rarely left the stage. I think there was, a 5-minute period where I left the stage, and then other than that, I was on stage for the whole thing. But it was. Like I said, I just learned a hell of a lot.
Yeah. Well, of course, you were known to millions of fans around the world, of course, of playing Theon Greyjoy in HBO's Game of Thrones for all, 8 seasons that you did that for. I mean, how life-changing was that role and that show for you?
Hugely, massively life-changing. I think, it kind of really started to kind of hit home how huge it was around about series 3. I remember just being, on the beach in Thailand just people coming up to me and selling DVDs to me, and then realizing that was me. That was when it would start to hit home of how kind of massive the show was getting. And then, for me as a kind of person and an actor, it was tough at times, but then, it was, it hugely changed my life. It's mad when you kind of meet these people on the first day at the meeting at the round table. You kind of look around and go, if I don't get recast, then these people are going to be a part of my life for the rest of my life, which is crazy. There was a picture that came out, I think, Richard put it out or it was a Kit, I can't remember, but there was a picture of me, Kit, and Richard, literally standing in front of like this Ferris wheel in Belfast, and literally like the second day we'd known each other. Just let's go on this Ferris wheel and get a silly little photo. Little did we know that photo would live on as much as it did. But it's it's just been you know, I still get I still get the love from Game of Thrones, which is great. And then also, yeah, you know, it's reading the books and reading and sort of trying to get my own, you know, a take on it. I think I decided to stop reading the books about halfway through book 3, just because I didn't want to preempt stuff anymore. But yeah, it was a life-changing show for many different reasons, as a person and as an actor. But yeah, it's I don't know, you know, I don't know if a show like that will ever exist again in my lifetime. So yeah, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change anything. You know, it's just been great to me.
You know, I love to ask actors, because of your success that you've had on Game of Thrones, you know, some people will come to see Hangmen to be like, oh my God, Alfie Allen, who I love from Game of Thrones, is doing something called like live theater, a play, and you're going to introduce them to this world of live theater. And I'm sure you've seen it already, what that means to you, Alfie.
Yeah, well, I mean, I truly think that theatre is the best way of getting any kind of message across. I mean, even if you kind of, you know, give up that control and just let the message manifest itself, however, with the viewer, I still think that it's the best form of kind of storytelling, you know, less controlled. You just kind of, you just leave it up to the atmosphere in the audience, you know, and yeah, I really hope that more people that watch Game of Thrones and perhaps wouldn't go to the theatre or make the effort to go to the theatre, that one, people are so grateful for it, including myself, that people make the effort to come out to the theatre, and 2, there's nothing else like it. You know, there is nothing else like it, and I believe that you'll find something in yourself that you didn't really know was there. So yeah, definitely. Come to the theatre.
I love it. Well, finally, if you could sum up the best part of the experience of working on Hangmen, what is it for you, Alfie?
It's being on Broadway, without a doubt. Being on Broadway, being in New York is fantastic. But then also doing a Martin McDonagh play, you know, it's seriously just pinch myself stuff. Like I'm just forever grateful to Martin and Matthew, just because they're you know, I'm enjoying the work, and it's just fantastic. I love it. It's great.
Well, I could talk to you forever, my friend, but once again, Alfie Allen is giving an electrifying performance as Mooney in Martin McDonagh's Hangmen, now on Broadway at the Golden Theatre. You need to have a bite or a nap, because you've got another show to do tonight, my friend.
Thank you so much, Richard. It's been lovely.
Alfie, I'll catch up with you, my friend. Take care. Have a great show, and everybody will see you at the theater. Take care, everyone.